Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I wanted to talk about why I think Harry is the better Venom. Now, let me get this one out of the way. I don't think he is the better Venom, period. I just think he's the better Venom, in my eyes, in Insomniac's verse. Now, I know that there's going to be some people that are rake me over the calls that are Eddie Brock fans. This is my opinion. So, I am not saying that he's completely better, but yeah. Alright, with my insight of the game, with the symbiote storyline in Insomniac's verse, which was not flawless, I know that, and it wasn't perfect, but I personally think, with all I know about the relationship of Harry and Venom and Eddie and all that I know about the comics, why do I think that Harry is the better Venom compared to Eddie? Well, in my eyes, Eddie's storyline in the comics as Venom, his origin, is not flawless. And in Insomniac's, verse, it's not flawless either with Harry, but it has a lot of things to work off of that Eddie's just doesn't. It felt a little bit weird. And yes, Venom is supposed to be intimidating. He's supposed to be scary. He's supposed to be this and that. Sure, that's valid. But what Venom represents to Spider-Man is just as important. And when I look at Harry, I see that mirror of what the human mirror of Spider-Man. Now, with Eddie Brock, him being the opposite to Peter, where he's very muscly and he's a reporter, sure, that is kind of an opposite mirror in some regards, but he's played up as a rival. And with Harry's relationship with Norman, and also his relationship with Peter being a brotherly, friendly, type thing, it's built up a lot better than Eddie's ever could have been with Peter. Because they were always meant to be rivals. With Harry, it feels like they're actually brothers. They're more than just friends. They're like brothers. And building that connection, where the first game focused on the fatherly connection of Otto and Peter, this connection is the fatherly connection of Harry and Norman, but also of Peter and Harry as brothers and friends. And where I think this is done better is, even going from Harry's whole point of this game. He is basically, intellectually, he's similar to Peter. They're both scientists in some ways, where basically Harry's kind of the opposite, being from a richer background and other things. He's, has a lot of opposite bits to Peter. And how he is in the comics, he always becomes like Hobgoblin or Green Goblin Jr. or stuff like that. And it's kind of just feels like they've retread old ground before. And the very few times he's become Venom, he's never had a tried and true storyline that set it up. Even the Sam Raimi films, the connection was there. Now, was it perfect? No. But it was still there to build up that brotherly bond, then to turn that love into hatred and pain. That's the best way you can do that type of storyline. And where this game takes a little bit from the Amazing Spider-Man's Harry Osborn, and that whole storyline wasn't flawless either, this game corrects what that should have been. In my eyes, that whole storyline with the Amazing Spider-Man's Harry is about some kind of a similar premise. It's fusing. This game fuses the connection of the comics and the storyline with Harry and the Amazing Spider-Man movies and him dying and stuff like that, and intertwines that. Now, is it flawless? Hell no. Could have, if there was more stuff built up, it could have been even better. But I think the idea and the principle, like even with the Ultimate Comics, mixing that type of storyline and basically pulling from that in a unique way. The idea of Venom is he's a representation of the darkness that a lot of characters have. Now, Harry somewhat had it in unique ways, and there were slight hints of it, like with him talking about hearing his mother's voice in the tank. And Spectacular Spider-Man was technically the perfect way that Eddie Brock's Venom was ever done. In my opinion, that was pretty much the golden standard of how to do him. Where he's still a rival, there's a bit of a scientist thing, but there's also a brotherly connection, and it's just mixing all these little things, and it's done perfectly. That is my definitive Venom on the Eddie Brock standpoint. I stand by that statement, but with Harry in this game, the reason why I think he's the perfect Venom is he's a mirror. In some ways, yes, his health declines and all this other things. Yes, he looks weak. Yes, he's all that. But the thing is, where it's a representation of a lot of things. Venom represents so much things. Darkness, greed, envy, anger, wrath, pain, addiction. All the things that, even seeing what Peter tells Harry about basically, go pop some pills and tell you what you're really feeling. He's going through this addiction himself. While Harry is dying, of course, sure, but having your own friend tell you pretty much to kill yourself is, heart-wrenching. With Harry, it's a lot more of a connection there because they're friends, they're brothers. Would you feel the same way if it was Eddie Brock? No, you wouldn't. But if it was a brother or a friend telling you basically pop some pills, come on, tell me, and then you pretty much kill yourself, that's a lot more heartbreaking. That's a lot more, it pulls at you. Because with Harry as a character, he's always represented by pain. Pain of his father's neglect, his mother's absence, and addiction has always been a part of him, if he becomes the Green Goblin or Hobgoblin or whatever. But with Venom, it works a lot better. It represents him, and yes, he's only ever became Venom in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon. Yes, I know. But taking elements from the Amazing Spider-Man movies and reworking them here, it makes it a lot better. In my eyes, Harry being Venom is the perfect mirror. While Peter is, yes, down on his luck and he's all these things, Harry has always been the opposite, and he's been a brother and a friend. The Venom is basically pretty much similar to Harry in a way, where he feels rejected by Peter and, replaced and all that stuff. It works and intertwines so much better. So when you get to the fight with Miles, there's a double meaning when when Venom tells Miles, you took him away from us. It's not just Venom partially talking. There's a bit of Harry when he says that. Even in the Sam Raimi films, the way Harry basically becomes more wrathful, he really wants to kill Peter. Yes, in this game, Peter, he doesn't, Harry is angry at Peter for maybe something. I think with Harry, if it was written more, there was more stuff and things weren't cut, I think this would have been the best Venom ever. Because I believe that Harry and his slow descent, if there was a bit more where you get to see Harry kind of letting out a little bit of darkness, letting out his frustrations. Imagine this. Harry is a character that's defined by his father. In this game and any other universe, Harry has always been defined by Norman's legacy, of whether it's pain, rage, or his death. He is always defined by it. He's always been the character that's defined by pain. Venom is the same way. Whether it's the Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, the comics, he's always been pretty much, maybe sometimes seeking a redemption, sure, but he's always been a villain because he's always been somewhat defined by pain, wrath, revenge, and anger. And Venom represents addiction. The addiction to power, to revenge, to getting even, but also to strength and power. The whole point of this game is to make the world better, to make it. But here's the thing. The hero's journey lives long enough to see himself become the villain. In some ways, unlike Otto, where, he doesn't get redeemed at the end. He still isn't redeemed. Where you give the villain a chance to, save themselves, Harry and Peter somewhat try to. Yes, Harry somewhat dies in a way, but in some ways he doesn't. He somewhat sacrifices himself. He knows he's a lost cause. He knows he's going to die. Either way, it's too late for him. And he sees that. That's the slippery slope it goes with addiction, of just, feeling that you're a lost cause, that you're pretty much gone. There's no redeeming you. There's no saving you. And with the idea of Venom being tied of rejection and pain and anger and wrath, the idea of Harry representing some of those things, with certain themes really shining a light on that, because maybe there is a bit of a jealousy between Harry and, on Peter, with his connection to his father. That's always been a part of it. And Peter, getting more accustomed and having a lot more darkness and a lot more pain than Harry, but maybe they're equal, and only difference is for Peter is that he pretty much accepts it a lot easier than Harry would have. If you notice how quickly, there are some scenes where Harry, of course, lets out some of his inner emotions, but he keeps it a lot more bottled up until the end, when he feels like there's nothing left for him. He's already on death's door. Compared to Peter, who eventually slowly gets a little bit quickly, but also slowly and quickly gets corrupted a lot faster, because he has a lot of pain and a lot of anger and a lot of things that have happened to him. While Harry's pain is tied to neglect and death and trying to heal illnesses, and he's dying. Imagine, similar to like the, Superman and Lois storyline of season 3 with Bruno Mannheim and his wife. It's similar to that, where you kind of have this idea of, if a character is dying, they're trying so hard to live. And with Norman being obsessive and wanting to hold on so close that he won't let go, and then when he's about to lose the one thing he has left, he can't breathe. He can't survive anymore. He lost everything. That is kind of the point with Norman and Harry's relationship. There's a tie of obsession and control and anger and pain that's divided their relationship for all of the comics and all of the media. And for Harry, he's a character that works perfectly with the symbiote, because in some regards, he's the best choice. He's the mirror of Peter. He's the opposite. Being rich isn't just a part of it. He's always been kind of like, where Venom represents this connection that's broken, there's revenge and pain, Harry intertwines better than Eddie in some regards, because there is more of a connection with Harry than there is with Eddie. Eddie was a work partner. Eddie was a photographer that got something wrong, and Peter got it right and cost him his job. And that's about it. Yes, there was some abuse from his father back in the old days, and there's been some other things that have been revealed with his backstory. Sure. But for Harry, there's a lot more that's underneath the surface that nobody talks about that can be used. And with the symbiote representing all that, it works a lot better. In my eyes, Harry is pretty much the best Venom we've ever had. Now, if there's a lot of untapped potential to where I think they could have done things better, sure. But he will always be the best in my eyes for his connection and the way he's done. The idea of the symbiote is to represent addiction and the wantingness to numb the pain, to get to pretty much to hide behind something, to get more power, to 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 not feel those emotions, to feel the sting of rejection or the anger. It's easy to like High Top Film said, to smoke, to drink, to blank, to F. You know what I mean. To do all these other things that are tied to addiction, to gamble, and to seek something, a connection or power to never feel that way again. It's easy to do those things, but it's even harder to let go and to let other people in, to not feel so alone. And that's the thing you have to navigate with the symbiote. And something spectacular Spider-Man did amazingly well. In this game, it could have done it even better. It's not flawless, but I do think Harry had the best potential as Venom with a lot of reasons. But that's just me. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll be seeing you in another video. Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye.